Hey everyone, Sari here, and welcome back to another week of Astra Season offense matches. Naga's bonus week felt like a good chance to try something fun, and this time around I decided to pair her up with Felix for a combo tanking team. Having Felix cover her with Farsave lets her use Mirror Stance instead of Distant Counter, which significantly boosts her damage output and helps her secure her Dragon Wall check. The guard effect is also really useful against enemies with guaranteed follow-ups, making it much less likely for her to take large spikes of damage. Dragon Wall itself might seem like a strange pick for Naga, but with the right support she actually secures a full 40% damage reduction against almost any opponent. It's pretty easy for her to reach 65 res on this team, and she can push it even higher in ideal situations. Obstruct was a fun idea I had while putting the team together. It gives Naga a good way to prevent melee opponents from running past her, and combined with Felix's Farsave, it makes it much safer for her allies to stand directly next to her during the enemy phase. That's important since it lets her reapply Divine Fang for the following turn, which lets her stay at or near the peak of her power throughout the match. Felix himself is mostly the same as usual, but I did make a couple of adjustments to his offense build this time. Speed Res form is fairly easy to keep online with this team, since Naga wants to keep allies nearby for Divine Fang anyway. It also pushes him up to 82 res without much effort, giving him access to a 65 damage Glacies nuke. Duo Hild is a pretty key part of this team as well. Her weapon's pseudo-breath effect gives Naga some really consistent healing from noontime, while also giving Felix a near-guaranteed Glacies in every defensive combat. Her duo skill's isolation effect is a handy upside too, even if it's a bit unreliable thanks to Duo's hindrance. Regan also got a bit of an upgrade. She's now got Life and Death 4 and Pulse Smoke, courtesy of Igraine, which lets her soak Bright Shrines from nearly any carry. While I don't usually use her to fight, the Pulse Smoke should come in more useful than Panic would anyway. Having Speed Defense Link on her also gives the team more options for applying a full set of buffs, which is really useful. Asher is mostly on the team for ease of access to attack and res buffs. The immunity to Panic is helpful too, especially for a low health tank like Naga, and the extra stats for Felix are always a nice bonus. There was still one match this week that I couldn't quite make work with Naga and Felix, so Dimitri got to step in and handle it. That one honestly came down to Fjorm's ability to isolate targets without worrying about Duo's hindrance. Dimitri himself is a really formidable tank, and I'm looking forward to his upcoming in-season bonus week. Combining damage reduction with a full spectrum of smoke skills and an absurdly high damage output. Naga still got a chance to shine on this team too, using her default Omni tank set. Distant counter and diodes are important if she's planning to tank ranged units, since they give her the tools to defend herself and remove one of her common weaknesses. Now that we've gone over the teams, let's get to the first match. This match is going to be a pretty basic start to the week. It's basically a freebie match of lift loss mitigation and not much else. They did leave their units with weapons and skills equipped, but lining them up at the back like this is really just a present. Although we do get to see one of the rarest units in the game with a 1-star Felicia. This match isn't really anything I'm worried about. It's mostly just picking up the pots and then moving into position.
Why not?
If I have to.
Here we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Use Reagan to flip Naga over here and get ready for the fight on the next turn. And from here, we'll have Plumeria open the spot up.
Over here?
Reagan will flip Naga forward. And move back.
I am the answer.
We'll smite Felix up as well.
Yes.
And plant her feet over here.
Have to keep swimming.
From here, if we should be able to get everything except Duma in this turn. That's really just down to movement ranges. Even with dagger debuffs applied, I think Felix isn't having any problems with Delthea. And Naga's not having any issues with Berkut either.
Deliberation is over.
Ceres, I think... Oh, she gets to do 1 damage. Before Naga wipes her out. And, well, yeah. Selka doesn't get to do anything either. They did have a fun little Shadows of Valentia theme here as well, with Duma and the fallen Berkut, Selka, and Delthea.
It will be done.
It's a neat freebie. Let's see what we get next. This match is going to be a slight step up from the last one. It's not anything too crazy, but it is a neat little rally trap with Kempf and several reasonably threatening ranged units behind him. Got a pre-charged Lysithea, Thracier. This Alphonse is a bit odd. The Lancebreaker kind of makes me think he wants to check Hector's, and the deflect missile is probably to help him survive Lin and keep this hindrance active. But I'm not sure how effective he is without any way to pre-charge his special. We've also got a Gordon, who's actually a unit I seriously considered building a few times. His Refine is really solid and works well with a lull. And of course, Mirabilis for the dancing. This Defres gap actually hits Alphonse, which is fun. Helps keep him alive a bit more. We're going to need to take a few turns here just to set up, thanks to the placement of these traps, since we do want to test at least this forward bolt trap before we go too much further.
Excuse
I'm
me.
going to have Hilda do that
Why not?
I am the
with a
answer.
quick dance and smite. And it's fake.
I'll deliver.
Felix can work on breaking
Over
some
here?
structures with Reagan,
Here we go.
and so can Hilda.
What is your desire?
From here, we'll take one more turn
Have to
to
keep swimming.
continue breaking things
I won't lose.
while we make our way further up.
If I have to. Yes.
Reposition Plumeria and
Close
move her
your
down
eyes.
here,
Yes.
and move Ashura here to make sure everyone's getting buffed. No, everyone except Plumeria. From here, we're going to have Naga hold this point,
There is but one future.
which is a pretty important spot to take since it stops Kemp from rallying forward or being able to attack at all, and it'll force him to rally Lysithea to start things off. From there he should get danced by Mirabilis and then end up rallying Alphonse, I think.
It will be done.
But even if he actually attacks Naga at some point this turn,
Here we go.
it's not going to matter since she'll be
Yeah.
able to shrug him off and
Really?
stop him from actually lunging. Yep, rally. Lysithea should do a little bit of damage to Felix.
You are in my way.
Rainbow's pretty useful, but it's not really quite good enough. Yep. Oh, interesting, Alphonse just attacked. Oh, that's right, because he had a defense buff. I forgot. Which actually means we're probably not getting any more knockouts this turn. Yep.
I won't lose.
From here, I was actually hoping that we'd clear out both of these units this turn, but that's okay. We're still alright, and we can actually use Hilda's Duo skill now. Which I'm going to use just to force Kempf to actually get himself knocked out this turn.
What is your desire?
And we'll have Naga deal with Gordon. I could have her attack Thrace here, but without any buffs it's a little tricky for her to take that down. Yep. Then
I am the answer.
we'll start moving Asher out this way and just sit tight.
Excuse me?
Both of these traps are real, so there's not really much of a reason for me to run around testing them. Kempf moves in first, as expected,
Be warned.
but he just gets himself knocked out to Naga, so he can't actually break our formation. It does stop us from knocking anything else out this turn, but it's not like Thracer's getting anything done to Felix. And while Mirabilis doesn't get knocked out, she can't do anything to Naga either.
Yes.
From here, we'll just knock out Mirabilis.
Deliberation is over. Deliberation is over.
That mini breath effect is really useful. And then we'll just sit tight and wait. Felix will get a Glacies on this Thracier.
Do I look merry?
Nice solid hit. Maybe a little bit overkill. Let's see what we get next. This is going to be a much more interesting match. Things are starting to pick up a bit. It's a Catria setup, and I guess that we're starting to see more of these now. They are also backing this up with an in-season legendary Chrom in his bonus week. It's very spooky, and honestly when I saw this I was a bit concerned for Felix. But I think we'll be okay, even with this Byleth backing him up, and the +7 in-season Lilina to go with them. They've also got this fallen Edelgard on the side, he seems a bit odd, but if you try to just bait her, you end up taking Chrom as well, since he'll have an orders buff and can jump over her. And then of course there's the bonus week Zeros to cap things off, with Mirabilis in the back as a dancer. Ground orders is a little odd for her since they already have Catria and she's not actually next to any non-flying units here. We're going to need to take a couple of turns just to clean a couple of things on this map up so we can start things up.
Over here?
I'm expecting this to be a real bolt trap, which is why I have Naga and Felix on the other side of the map.
Close your eyes.
Then we're going to dance Reagan.
I won't
She's
lose.
going to pick off this tactic room and retreat.
Here we
Hilda is going to take out this bolt tower
It will be done.
and then get pulled to safety by Naga.
Yes.
We'll have Asher move over here,
I'll deliver.
and Felix start moving his way into position. Oh. I somehow forgot about this part. Its Edelgard was going to be the 7th unit and get danced immediately by Mirabilis. In the end, though, Mirabilis moving over there really only helps us, so we're going to stick to the plan. Hilda's going to move here to bait Chrom out,
Yeah.
and we can have Regan flip Felix over here while she ducks into this corner.
What is your
Naga will
desire?
move down one space,
If I have to.
and we'll have Felix swap her over here. Felix should be alright here, even with the extra attack. He's cancelling all of that out with his distant defense, and Vengeful lets him punch through the impact from Chrom. Here he comes. And even though this doesn't look like we'll kill him,
Do I look merry?
we do get a Glacies. So from here, they actually ended up getting into a bit further back of a position than I expected, but it's okay. We're actually going to end up having Felix tank 2 triangle attacks this turn.
Excuse
Going
me.
to heal him,
Why not?
dance him,
I'll deliver.
and then swap Naga back over here. Tanking a triangle attack from Byleth might seem a little risky, but Felix should be alright.
Stop the flow of time.
All this really means is that Byleth eats
Show your weakness.
a Glacies to the face on the first counter. And while Lilina's a little annoying with the pre-combat, Felix is out of range of it. And she really can't do any damage to him in
This is
combat
your name
anyway.
on it.
Nope, there's a reposition. From here, they're actually all split up, so we don't actually get to watch Naga tanking triangle attacks, unfortunately.
Here we go.
But it'll be fun to watch her tank all of this in one turn anyway. We're going to move Hilda over one space. We're going to have Felix swap Naga,
Close your eyes.
and dance Felix.
I am the answer.
We're going to smite Naga over here,
What
and
is your
move her up
desire?
here
If I have
to tank all 3 of the remaining threats. And we'll also have Regan open up this structure on the side. Here we go. Edelgard moves in first, since Naga won't actually just knock her out immediately. But even damage reduction and post-combat healing isn't going to save Edelgard from being knocked out on this round.
By my flame.
Catria should move in next, yep, since she can actually do some damage as well.
Deliberation is over.
Although we heal almost all of that right back anyway. And, well, Sarah's gets shut down pretty hard here.
Be warned.
Over here?
From here, we just need to stall for one more turn, I think, while we pick up these pots. We'll send Hilda up this way to try collecting one of them,
What is your desire?
while we distract Mirabilis with Naga,
Here we go.
and Felix, rather. Felix is very good at just stopping Mirabilis from getting anything done.
Excuse me?
From here, Hilda can finish off the pot hunting,
Here we go.
and we'll let Naga close out the match.
By my flame.
That was a fun one. Catria maps always involve a bit more thinking than usual. Let's see what we get next. This match is not quite as immediately threatening as the last one, but they do have an Ingrid who's a lot of fun as a windsweep unit. And they backed her up with a Marianne and a Thracier and a Sigurd who's... this rally is actually the most annoying part of the map because I don't have isolation on either of my Naga teams, which makes it a little trickier to wrangle him. Part of why I'm looking forward to this is that it'll actually give me a chance to potentially use Obstruct with Naga, which is fun. I'm going to take a couple of turns just to break some structures while we set up. This Dark Shrine in particular is a little bit annoying for Felix.
Really?
Yeah.
Since he's the one who would soak it.
I'll do it.
Yes.
Yep. And there we go. So from here we're just going to do a few movement shenanigans to
I won't lose.
get into the right position for the next turn.
Have to keep swimming.
I do want to make sure that
Close your
Naga's
eyes.
getting a full +9 stats to help her beat
is
the
your
speed
desire?
check from Ingrid.
I am the answer.
If I have to.
We'll swap here and should be able to start next turn.
It will be done.
And from here we are going to use Obstruct
Excuse me? Why not?
to keep Hilda and
Yes.
Plumeria safe,
Yeah.
while Felix is
I'll
going to
deliver.
cover everybody from the ranged.
Yes.
Let's see where Secret rallies. Okay, he rallied forward. Yep. Marianne moves first. She can get a little bit of damage done to Felix, thanks to the large number of lulls from her weapon, and she also barely survives his first
You've shown your weakness.
counterattack, thanks to those lulls. But he's still alright. Ingrid gets to do some true damage from her weapon, but that also gets cut down by Dragon Wall,
Find my flame.
and then we get to Noontime back to full health. Duma moves next and gets danced, which lets Thracier move in and attack Felix, which really doesn't do much. And then Duma can move in and attack Naga, which again, really doesn't do much.
Find my flame.
And now that they're down to Sigurd and a weaponless dancer, it should be pretty easy to clean this up.
It will be
So
done.
what we're going to do, actually, I'm a little curious to see if Sigurd will rally a weaponless unit. I don't think he will, but
Here we go.
it'll be fun to experiment.
Really?
I'll do it.
Since if he rallies from here, or here even, he can't actually reach Plumeria
What
thanks
is
to
your
Obstruct.
desire? There is but
So we're
one
not even
future.
going to worry about finishing him off here in the name of science.
Over here?
Yep, and Reagan will be able to reach the pot from here and still be safe if he rallies. Oh, he just attacks.
By my flame.
Nice and easy, and then we can pick up this pot.
Have to keep swimming.
What is your desire?
And close out the match. That was a fun one. It's good to get to use Obstruct. Let's see what we get next. This match is going to be another interesting one. I don't think I've run into too many of these in a while. It's kind of a new age armor in the corner strategy with two save armors, with its Edelgard and Hector, with Flame to give them damage reduction, and Ceros to try and get in the way and prevent them from moving out of formation. They don't have a full stall wall set up. They've also got this Fallen Dimitri with Thracier and Mirabilis, and I actually kind of like this because it gives the opponent's team something to deal with and not give them a full set of 7 turns to deal with the armors in the corner. I'm going to have to take several turns to break this down, but we should actually be able to get things moving pretty quickly here. The first order of business is just to clean these 3 out, and we should be able to do that on the first turn. I'm going to Felix up here to break this.
I am the answer.
I'm going to smite him forward, so he'll be able to cover Naga from
Why
the
not?
spooky Thracier.
Yes.
Asher can smite Naga forward. And since Dimitri's entire kit is offline when he's not solo,
Yes.
it's very easy for Naga to just take him down without taking much damage. Down he goes.
By my flame.
This point of damage that Naga sustained is actually pretty important too, since it should let her take down Hector without too much trouble, as long as we don't heal her.
Excuse me?
Hilda's going to open this up. I'm planning to break this healing tower on the next turn. Felix doesn't have any problems with Thracier. She can do some damage to him since we don't have a full formation here. But it's not really enough to make us worry about it.
Yes.
So from here, we just want to get this formation moving so that they don't stand in place, and it makes it a lot easier to bring it down. One of the best ways to do this is just by isolating the Ceros, who doesn't have a weapon, so you can't bait her out. And unless you isolate her, she'd rather rally in place than move. So to accomplish this, we're going to break this.
Yeah.
I actually meant to test this trap first, but it's okay. Even if it's 50 damage and it's not, it's fine. We'll have Reagan move over here and test this trap. Okay, good, we found both of the real ones. I'm not too worried about Naga here, since we can actually cover her with Felix, and the only thing that can attack her this turn is Flame.
Excuse
I'm
me?
going to have Hilda break this,
Close your eyes.
dance her, and then have her move forward and break this healing tower as well. This gives Ceres a space to move down, which is where I'm hoping she's going to go.
I am the answer.
And now that we found both of the real traps, we don't have to worry about that at all. I actually forgot to use the isolation, but it worked out anyway.
Have to keep
From
swimming.
here, we're actually going to need just a couple of turns to break through Hector. And we're going to start by giving out some dragon slaying buffs for next turn. We are going to end up taking this bolt tower damage, but I'm not too worried about it. If anything, it just helps us tank Hector for a second turn later on.
I won't lose.
We're going to have Reagan move down this way and start getting ready to pick up some Aether pots.
I'll do it.
And we'll get
There is
Naga
but one
buffed,
future.
and say go. Hector just can't really do much damage to Naga here.
For the children of
Naga,
man.
meanwhile, can do quite a lot to him, especially when he steps out of range of flame. From here, we're actually just going to sit tight and let Edelgard attack into us.
It will be done.
While she is going to transform and get to attack twice, it shouldn't actually matter too much. Here she comes. Plus, we will get to heal after this next one too, which is good. Here comes the bonfire.
I am absolute.
It does a chunk.
Be warned.
I have actually been forgetting to use this duo skill quite a bit,
Over here?
which is a bit unfortunate.
Why not? Here we go.
Oops. Right,
It will be
we're going
done.
to flip Naga down.
If I have to.
Felix is going to take Flame out of the picture.
Yeah.
Without the extra healing and damage reduction, it's going to be a lot easier to take Edelgard down. Okay. And also, it's going to be a bit harder for her to activate this skill when we isolate this and prevent her from getting buffs. She'll probably survive this first hit thanks to Armored Wall, but she's not going to survive when she attacks in again.
Perish.
Deliberation is over.
And down she goes.
What is your
And from there,
desire?
it's pretty easy for Naga to cruise in and finish Ceres off. Close out the match. Also a fun one to pick apart. Let's see what we get next. This map took me quite a lot of thinking to figure out, and sadly I couldn't quite find a way to make sure that Naga would work on it. And even using this team, I'm still a little concerned. They've got 3 dancers on this team, with a Catria ball that tries to engage on turn 1 with this duo Sigurd. They try to, from there, have this Inns rally forward onto Sigurd, followed by the Nino, with dances from Mirabilis to get somebody into range to kill something. If I'm honest, the pivot on this Ceres is a large part of why I had such a hard time figuring out a working strategy for this. And there's a pretty decent chance that, even with all the planning that went into this, that I still goof this up. But I'm hoping not. This is going to take a few turns to set up, since we need to dodge this turn 1 to start with, and that's why I'm isolating Azura, just to guarantee that Sigurd is the only one who runs forward to dance Nino. I'm pretty sure he will regardless, but I want to make sure of it. So, we're going to clear out this corner in the right and use it to set up in. Yorm can break this.
Yes.
We'll have Naga break this flag.
I am
In the ground orders, let's Ashura jump forward and break this tactic room. The tactic room was another annoying part of this map.
Yes.
Since it's high enough level that it would get everybody that's ranged in its range glued. And we don't want that. There we go, Sigurd moves forward. From here we just need to do a little bit of repositioning
Your orders.
to make sure that we get everybody where we want them to be. And then we're just going to end the turn again. Okay. Isolating this lane is pretty important since we don't want Mirabilis to dance anything, and we also want to bait both of these other dancers out with Dimitri this turn. I also need to do a little bit of buff juggling to make sure that Dimitri actually ends up soaking this Dark Shrine, since it's very easy for Naga to do that instead. So to do that, we're going to smite him forward and move him down here.
Close your
And
eyes.
Plumeria is going to dance Ashura, who's going to move over here so that she can buff Dimitri for next turn.
Over here?
Then Reagan is going to break this, which lets her Kento all the way over here. And from here what I'm expecting is that we should bait both Azura and Sigurd into attacking Dimitri. And nothing else should actually reach us, and I'm hoping that Ceres pivots forward onto this tile. So, let's see what happens. Okay, step 1, yes. Step 2, good. I don't think we actually needed the Dark Shrine to hit Dimitri here, but it kind of guarantees that we don't have to worry about it.
Don't let them retreat.
Okay. Yep, and yes, good. So the reason Ceres ended up pivoting this way is because she's actually chasing Reagan right now, which was why I was being very careful to block Plumeria with Naga and make sure that she could only chase after Reagan instead. So from here, we're going to have to pray that I did my math correctly. We're going to start by repositioning Dimitri up here. Then we're going to smite Plumeria. Dimitri should be able to just barely one-shot this Catria. And then we're going to dance him, and he'll have a much easier time of dispatching this Nino.
Don't let them retreat.
From here, we should be alright. I'm going to have Reagan move up this way and flip Ashura forward, which will help us pick these pots up next turn.
I love you.
And from here, the first thing that should happen is that Mirabilis, is going to attack Plumeria, since she doesn't die. And then Inns should take a shot at Naga, and neither of them should die after that. And Ceres is probably just going to chase after Ashura.
Careful.
Or maybe Feorm.
Careful.
Step 1. Now let's see if Naga can survive. I think she can. But she's going to take a lot of damage from this. Yep. Perfect. Dragon Wall not working is a bit of a pain. Oh, and she did chase us this way. So we are almost in the clear here. I'm just going to start by taking Mirabilis out of the picture. And then we're going to need to spend one more turn avoiding these two, since we do still want to pick these pots up, and unfortunately we can't quite get them both
Over here?
before actually dealing with these two. So instead we're just going to
I'll
corral everybody into the corner
There is but one future.
Let's find happiness.
and see what happens here. From here, it is finally time to bring this match to a close. We're going to flip Reagan this way. Pretty unnecessary here, but
Your orders.
we're going to style just a little bit. Going to move Dimitri over here,
Close your eyes.
dance him,
I am the answer.
smite him down,
Yes.
and have him one-shot Cerus. And then we're going to tank the ends one more time to close out the match.
It's our chance to prevail.
I love you.
Here we go.
She'll regret
He'll take a chunk of damage here, but
On my honor.
a lot like with Naga, it's just not quite enough. Whew, that was a tricky one though. Let's see what we get next. This match is going to be a fun way to go into the end of the week. I wasn't expecting a whole lot from this. It's a rematch with someone who really had a messy clear of my defense, but they have some pretty impressive stuff on their team here. Plus 10 Veronica, plus 10 maxed out Duma. It's very impressive. A not quite maxed out Chrom, who's still very terrifying in this bonus week, especially with Cerus and Duma boosting his attack. They've also got a fallen Edelgard, who's going with 2 different solo skills instead of the usual Mystic boost set. A young Sita with the I'm effective against most of the cast weapon, and a plus 10 Mirabilis to cap things off. Even though they've walled in their team, this is still a pretty intimidating setup, just mostly for trying to handle Chrom and Edelgard. But I think I've figured this out. We're going to need to take a turn just to clean up some of the stuff up front here, and get into position for the second turn. I'm going to have Reagan test this trap. Good, it's the real one. We can dance her.
Over here?
She's going to test this trap as well. Oh, and that is also real. Excellent.
Yes.
Ashura can break this. Felix will break this. And we'll move Naga here to give Dragon Slaying buffs out for the next turn. Duma's upheaval actually just gets healed off by our healing tower, which is really useful since Felix is going to need all of his health for this next turn.
Yeah.
From here, we're going to flip Felix up here and get him in position. It's actually very important that I'm going to have Felix standing over here for this turn, since he needs to dodge this sabotage if he wants to tank Chrom safely this turn.
What is your
Naga's
desire?
going to break this bolt tower.
I am
I'll
the
have
answer.
Ashura move up 1 space,
Why not?
Lemuria move down 1 space,
Excuse me.
and Hilda will break this for us. Chrom should come very close to one-shotting Felix here, but it's just not quite enough.
You've shown your weakness.
And down he goes. Ceres moves in and gets herself absolutely massacred by Naga.
For the children of man.
And then the repositions come through, and we move on to the next turn. I think I might have actually made a mistake by breaking this block, since it would have made Veronica a little easier to knock out here if we had baited her here to attack it. As is, though, it's alright. We're going to start by flipping Naga forward, which gives her a full spectrum of buffs to work with this turn. We can move Plumeria up here to give her some of those buffs as well.
Yes.
We're going to smite Hilda up here, move her this way and break this, and then we're going to use her duo skill specifically to hit Mirabilis. Edelgard's a happy side effect, but what I'm hoping to do is make sure that Edelgard will end up always being out of the way for Mirabilis to attack into Naga and die.
It will be done.
Naga herself is going to take down Veronica here. We'll have Felix pick up this healing tower while we're at it. Yep, Edelgard moves in first since she survives.
Deliberation is over.
She doesn't get a whole lot done here, but the bonfires should do a chunk. And she's staying in position.
Face your mortality.
She's going to take a lot more damage from this hit, though. Still not quite enough to finish her off, but that's okay. Sita just does us a
By my
very
blade.
considerate favor and heals us back up. And Duma should flip flip Edelgard out of the way, and make sure that we get to knock Mirabilis out too.
Deliberation is over.
From here, since Edelgard's stride is offline, we can actually just bait Duma out
Here we go.
while we work our way up to these pots,
I am the answer.
get Naga's buffs back online,
Over here?
If I
and get Felix out of the way. Duma's not a problem for Naga. Handling Edelgard with her solos active is going to be a little more interesting.
Deliberation is over.
So from here, we should be able to clean things up. We're going to pick up this pot first,
Excuse me?
this pot second.
What is your desire?
Naga can start things off by attacking once, which does not quite finish Edelgard off, thanks to the 40%. And we do end up taking a bonfire for our trouble. But this does drop Edelgard low enough
Why not?
to disable her entire kit now that she is below 25%,
It will be done.
which makes it much easier to finish her off. That's a good way to finish the match. This one's going to be a really fun match at the end of the week. It's a rematch, and I was actually expecting to see this maxed out bonus week in-season Chrom, along with this maxed out in-season Lilina. They're very spooky as a pair of 1-2 punch threats. I am a little surprised they didn't bring their plus Byleth along to this team as well, but they do have an odd recovery flash restore Veronica. Restore's a good way to help make sure the map gets moving on the second turn, even if somebody manages to dodge the initial turn 1. And then they've also got this maxed out duo Peony. It's a very impressive team, and it actually makes it a little strange to see this Hector only be at +7, along with the +1 bonus week Zeros and a +6 Mirabilis. It's an interesting team. Without Geoseeker, this dance trap isn't quite as effective, since I'm assuming Peony's one who is intended to jump over here and dance Hector, even though both Mirabilis and Peony can, which really only extends the threat range to this tile, where Felix is standing now. Still, it's still pretty difficult to engage onto the team even if you avoid the turn 1 thanks to the Farsafe Hector. And on turn 2, Veronica can just start restoring things, which usually gets the map moving on its own. I am not actually planning to avoid this turn 1. In fact, I'm hoping that Peony specifically jumps forward to dance here.
I'll deliver.
Because we want to get this Lilina out of the way on the first turn.
I'll do
I'm
it.
going to move Plumeria here, move Hilda over here, and flip her to the side. And then Reagan is going to break this and move back into her corner. And we're going to sit tight and wait. Good. Step 1. Here comes Lilina. And dance. And then she attacks. She can't actually hit Felix with her pre-combat special, and even with all of the attack buffs in the world, it's still not enough for her to kill Felix, or do damage to him at all. Okay. So this actually ended up moving exactly the way I was hoping it would, with Veronica right here, and Chrom getting buffed by Mirabilis' ground orders. That might sound a little odd, but it's important since we do want to bait Chrom with Felix this turn. And this speed buff should let Naga take down Veronica. And then from here, we're going to dance her, which will let Plumeria bait Mirabilis forward into attacking her. It's going to get pretty close, both for Plumeria and for Felix here.
Yes.
But it should be okay. And I'll just have Felix move in here, and move Ashura here to give them both buffs again for the next turn. Yep. Mirror moves forward first. Barely doesn't secure the knockout. And then Chrom attacks. Also barely doesn't secure the knockout. It's just not quite enough to finish Felix off. And then Peony can't actually do damage to him. So, these two moving both one space to the right is actually a little unfortunate, since I would have liked to bait them from here with Naga. But I think we're going to be alright anyway. I'm going to need to use Hilda to bait Mirabilis this turn, which should be fine. She's actually got a pretty decent amount of bulk, and will be able to buff her defenses and debuff Mirabilis again this turn. I'm going to flip Plumeria this way. Have Reagan move over here.
Close your eyes.
We'll dance Hilda.
Really?
And just swap Felix up to here,
Have to keep swimming.
and give him a heal.
Yes.
And we'll just get Asher up here and say go. Taking the Bolt Tower damage here is actually pretty deliberate, since it, hopefully, will let Naga deal with Hector this turn. Cirrus does enough damage, yep, to make sure that Naga keeps a couple of points of damage for the combat with Hector, which means that his entire weapon goes offline, and he gets shredded. From here, things actually get a whole lot simpler. We can just corner Mirabilis with Felix and Naga, which forces her to attack Felix. And while she will get a Moonbow here, I'm not worried about Felix surviving her.
Here we go.
Hilda can break this. We can have Reagan break this and move all the way up here.
I am the answer.
And we'll get Asher moving that way. And just in case, we're going to make extra sure that Plumeria is not accomplishing anything this turn.
Lights out.
From here, we should just be able to have Reagan pick this up.
There is but
And
one
move
future.
Asher up the
Close
space,
your eyes.
dance her,
I am the
pick
answer.
up the second pot,
It will be done.
and close out the match. It was a fun week overall. It's good to get to use Naga again. I don't think I would really try to do this outside of her bonus weeks. The extra stats are really valuable for her. But while she is in season, it's fun to do. And we also got to give Felix quite a lot of time in the spotlight too, so it was fun. I do have a Discord set up if you'd like to hang out and chat, and there's also a Patreon page in the description if you'd like to help support the channel. As always, thank you for watching, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.